Afternoon, everyone. It's Jeff Diverter from Rackspace Live, and we're about to go live in about 30 seconds. So get comfortable, get yourself a drink, and get ready to dig into the security opportunities that we have here at Rackspace to help solve your Microsoft 365 challenges. Well, hey guys, again, welcome back. My name is Jeff Diverter, and I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist here at Rackspace Technology. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I'd love for you to comment down below. Let me know who's here. Let me know where in the world you're coming in from as well. And boy, that went off the screen really quick. Oh, well. Hey, I've got some great guests with me today, but what I want to do first is to tee off into our Rackspace Elastic Engineering offering and how that's helping to modernize the Security Operations Center, specifically around Microsoft 365. I thought we would first dig into an interesting article that I read, and well, that isn't it. It's this, and what it is sorry, I'm having trouble with my buttons today. Is an article from Microsoft that I read about yesterday, and it's an event. And yesterday, Microsoft underwent a pretty significant denial of service attack. So significant that it was larger than any other one that had been measured to date. And what I loved about, now I read this on several different sites last night, but what I loved about the way this one was worded is Microsoft reports business as usual against one of the largest denial of service attacks ever. And there's two key points here, and that is it's the largest denial of service attack ever. And the second is that it was just business as usual at Microsoft. No customers felt it because the Microsoft infrastructure designed to scale and designed to protect their customers actually protected them the way it was supposed to. Now, we're not going to get too deep into the tech of this right now until tomorrow. I actually would love for you to mark on your calendars tomorrow at 8:30. I'm going to be joined 8:30 Central Time, by the way, in the morning, by John Moran. John's been running around Rackspace for a while. He is a security architect over here, and we are going to actually deconstruct this attack and the simplicity yet the complexity of it and how they pulled that off. All right. Well, hey, we have got a friend. Michael is in from Houston. We have got my friend from Egypt is here. Say hi to the Sphinx and all that fun stuff. I'm sure everyone's there. Hey, a LinkedIn user from San Antonio. We're glad you're here. And of course, our good friend from Tijuana, Mexico. So make sure you guys are commenting down below. And as we get in to this discussion, make sure that you are, if you have any questions for the team, I would love for you to put them in. Now, I'm joined today to discuss, well, we're going to get to very specifically a product at Rackspace called Rackspace Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365. But before we get too far into that, what I want to do is have a discussion around, well, why is this even necessary? Oh boy, we've got some good. Sean Gardner from San Antonio. Got to stop the show for just a second. Ex-Racker Sean, one of the smartest guys I know in support and now in containers, is here. So Sean, welcome to the program. Sorry, ADD's kicking in wonderfully, but I'm glad you all are here and dealing with it. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and bring up to stage producer Daniel, our guest today. We have a couple of folks. You saw them on the screen. We got Teresa Cortez, who's Senior Product Manager here at Rackspace. There she is now. Hey, Teresa, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We also have Jason Fox, a very long time Racker. I'm not saying he's old. I'm just saying he's been around Rackspace a good long time.
Both are
Jason,
true.
Both are true. Hey, we were talking earlier. I had to challenge your background, but you reached back in there and proved that it's real. So a lot of fun projects go back there, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. That's my disconnect space, so I can work on stuff back there. Yeah. Only recently cleaned up.
So. Well, we're honored for that. Thank you so much. Well, hey, we got a friend from Toronto. I told you guys people come from everywhere. India is here as well. Hey, Jason, now tomorrow I'm going to dig into this attack a little deeper with another racker here who's a security expert. But real quick, what are your thoughts on that denial of service attack that happened earlier this week?
Yeah, it's a big one. Impressive, and I agree with what you said. It's cool that it's being framed from Microsoft at least, and I think most folks that is just business as usual, and it's a testament to their ability to use all of their technology, their AI and ML technology, and their sophisticated attack blocking to make it so that no one even notices that an attack's occurring. And like I mentioned when talking to some folks earlier, that it's not a sophisticated attack in method, but it is a sophisticated in application. And so that's it was a pretty impressive that they were able to stop that without any effect whatsoever.
Right. Now, Jason, you're helping right now with a lot of our product development here at Rackspace, and what's key in this initial offering here of Rackspace Elastic Engineering. Really quickly, how long have you been here at Rackspace, and what are some of the roles you've had?
Sure. So I started here in 2013. So it's just
Okay.
over 8 years I've been here. Um, I come from a Department of Defense background, so I was a defense contractor for a long time. When I started here, I started as a manager of software development. So I ran a software development team here working on our automation platforms for email and productivity systems. And I worked on that for a while, and then I graduated into an architecture role where I'm helping drive sort of technical strategy for all of our productivity products.
That's great. We'll dig into that obviously a whole lot more as we unpack Rackspace Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365. By the way, if you have a drink at home, that's the drinking game. Every time I say that, have a sip. Hopefully, you'll still be standing by the end of the day. Now, Teresa, Senior Product Manager here at Rackspace, a little bit about your background as well, if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
sure. So I joined Rackspace almost 2 years ago now. Came on as the product manager for both the business applications and Microsoft 365, and worked really closely with Jason on launching products that fit what our customers' needs are.
Fantastic. Well, we have got a lot of San Antonians here in the chat today, and some Jason fans, I think, are joining in as well.
Yeah, I see Tony Everts. So Tony Everts worked for Army Medical when I was a defense contractor, and then he worked for our company for a while as a colleague. So I haven't seen Tony in 9 years probably. So that's cool to see him here. That's great.
Hey, the beauty of the internet's here, bringing long lost friends together. Actually, he's going to come in and tell us some stories about you from the past, but
Oh,
maybe next.
that's bad idea.
Maybe
Bad
next time.
idea.
All right, so let's talk about Microsoft. So Microsoft has they've shown their stripes this week with this whole denial of service attack and their capability. But as we were having a little pre-production meeting earlier, Jason, you were talking about how Microsoft looks at security differently than we do. We look at it kind of, in silos. Well, let's think about it just for our endpoints, or let's just think about it on our infrastructure, and all these different teams thinking about it. But they look at it holistically. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's interesting because most companies, I think, naturally talk about sort of infrastructure security, or like if they're running applications or database systems or stuff, they think about that security separately than they do their internal security or the identity security or endpoint security of their internal systems. And more, that's not a division that exists primarily because there's access that crosses those lines, right? And so Microsoft thinks of them holistically in that a threat can happen from any angle, and some of the more sophisticated threats will happen from many angles, and it's only by combining all of those signals and addressing them as a single event that you're able to really see what's going on and stop it before it becomes a problem. So their system is very sophisticated around those.
Yeah, that's impressive. Now, what 365 Microsoft 365 brings to the table is pretty impressive. Now, we've written an ebook, and very shortly we're going to show you guys a URL, and it's where you can come back to Rackspace, sign up to get a copy of that ebook, as well as if you want to schedule a 1 hour time with some of our architects to talk about where you are with your threat posture. So, hey, Folsom, I'll break into Folsom Blues here in a minute. Welcome, Jose. And so you're going to see that come up in just a little bit. So you want to stick around because we're also going to feed you. You sign up for that thing, you're going to get a $25 Grubhub gift certificate, but only for the first 50. So make sure you're sticking around. All right. So when we think about somebody applying 365, Microsoft 365, and using that in their environment, it comes with all these core capabilities, but then there are, I call these second layer capabilities and specific to the security. It allows us to provide all types of security to these, across our different silos, if you will, that we talked about that Microsoft doesn't necessarily see. They look at it holistically, but it's got to be applied. So Teresa, when we're thinking about an offering like Rackspace Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365, then what are some of the things we're thinking about in applying into there, and how do we take these tools and capabilities and turn it into a service that somebody can apply?
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about Microsoft 365 in general, honestly, a lot of users don't even realize the capabilities that Microsoft has natively. And then once you start learning about that, you really need some expertise with team members that have done it before and can help guide you through that process. So you think about email, right? And not only what you send in email, but also what attachments you share and how you share them and how you collaborate with your team members, and then how you collaborate with external users. So everything we do every single day has the risk of causing a breach of some sort, right? And Microsoft is really able to give you the tools that you need to help secure that, monitor that. If you have data that needs specific protection, you can use Microsoft Information Protection, for example, and help prevent some of those threats, whether or not, they're done internally, by mistake. I think, we've all seen those emails that go out and get recalled, or if they're intentional. So it's really about helping customers understand all the capability Microsoft has to offer, and then how we can help them through that journey.
Okay. Well, the example I love to use is, well, I'll tell you a little something about myself. I just, we're downsizing out of our home. We're buying this smaller townhome. I just had in the garage this amazing epoxy floor applied. I've always wanted one of these epoxy floors because I've got all these great tools, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm not a great carpenter, because having the right tools does not make you a great carpenter. Apparently, spending money on tools does not make you a great carpenter. And in some cases, we talk about how Microsoft and Azure protected their customers from this denial of service attack. But sometimes if you don't use the tool appropriately, you're still maybe exposed a little bit. So, Jason, maybe you can dip into a little bit about how our offering for Rackspace Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365 can actually help customers with that.
Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite sayings. My grandfather, who was a serial craftsman during his lifetime, always said, and it's not a new saying, right? But his favorite saying was, "It's a poor craftsman that blames his tools." And that's sort of a corollary there, right? Like, the tools are fine. You can have the fanciest you want, but if you can't apply them, it's just not going to work. I think that Microsoft does a really good job in setting baselines. So they have done a really good job in setting sort of security baselines around tenants, but they solve at the general level, right? They're solving at the tool level, at the requirement level there. They can't know exactly how your business functions. They can't know how information flows within your business. And so they can't tell you exactly how to secure it. And a big thing is identity, right? Identity is the thread that connects everything. And so their ability to provide a platform by which you can implement any kind of identity security you need is the power there, but it also can bring with it quite a bit of complexity. And so the M3, the Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365 product there is really designed around anything. So we'll help with anything on the platform, SharePoint, whatever. But a lot of our recent focus has been around helping customers deal with the complexity of a properly designed threat protection system, which involves all of this. So.
All right. So threat protection, let's talk about that, because that's a hot topic these days. Because starting several years ago, the thing we used to call the perimeter started to dissolve. And in the past 18 months, it actually is just non-existent anymore with the amount of mass digitization that's occurred. And so let's get specific about this in a use case. Maybe let's talk about how that perimeter's gone as we talk about the evolving role of the Security Operations Center. And then maybe it's like a specific use case around endpoint protection. We've all got them. I've got several of them sitting on my desk.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's threat protection is weird, right? Because it was previously threat protection. When you said that, most people meant spam and phishing protection. That in fact that there was something called ATP, Advanced Threat Protection, and that's pretty much all it did for a while. Those problems have more or less been solved, right? Systems are very smart about spam and phishing protection these days. Doesn't mean people don't fall victim if they haven't configured them correctly, but those things are there. Threat protection now, and like you said, especially over the last 2 years, the perimeter, the network perimeter, or the business perimeter of a company has now extended into people's homes, into people's personal devices, phones, laptops, tablets, everything. And that is where the new threat vectors are occurring, right? Like if you can compromise someone's personal device that just happens to have access to a corporation, there's your back door. And so that is where threat protection, I think, is going, or is now, but is really moving in the future, is getting really sophisticated around protecting devices and managing devices. And with Azure, right, the beauty again of using Azure is that it is global, right? And so Microsoft is able to use signals. They get signals from everywhere. They get signals from globally for identity, for risks, for users' behavior monitoring, and they can use all of those signals combined with the signals from your specific company to provide better intelligence around how they're actually protecting against those threats, right? Rather than just being in a silo as a corporation where like, I now have to rebuild all of this, I can now stand on the shoulders of giants and build only the specific parts that I need to protect. Yeah.
Well, and then there's the monitoring of it, right? I mean, Microsoft provides some holistic solutions to really enable you to monitor who's getting access to it, and starts with Azure Active Directory, right? And who's downloading all these files? Should they be downloading these files? Do I need to investigate this further? And so they've really done a great job about enabling, companies to manage that more efficiently and be productive about it.
Yeah. And we talk to customers all the time about this stuff. We have lots of customers. Recently, there's been a big uptick. I don't know if anybody's paying attention around malware. I mean, that's a huge topic these days. Microsoft's new operating system has some very specific requirements in order to prevent some of the new malware attacks, specifically firmware-based attacks and stuff. But malware is a huge deal, and we have companies come to us after, and it's honestly sad, right? Like afterwards, it's too late, and you've had data exfiltration, and you've had money leave the business, and we've now seen recently a good uptick in proactive requests from customers, and we are now, we try to make those suggestions as well, but customers now are more aware, and because of that, I think our engineering team has seen everything, right? We see it from every different customer angle. And so your problem, while it may seem unsurmountable from your standpoint, is something we've likely seen before and can help you accelerate the protections in place so that you're not sort of doing it on your own.
Well, and Sean in the chat makes an excellent point, and that is, it's not just these endpoints that have all drifted home from our offices or the computer that I'm using as I sit here in my study, but it's also these home networks. So a
Yeah.
family member clicks on a thing that they shouldn't, and now it's in your home network. And now that same computer that you're using from the office that has all sorts of fancy protections on it is still on that same home network that has a problem. And I think that sounds an awful lot like a question that you guys probably get from customers all the time. How do we protect when we have people using Microsoft collaboration services from their homes, from actually getting in and infecting documents and so forth? So,
Yeah.
how does Rackspace Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365 how does that service help with questions that we get from customers like that?
Yeah. The most important thing is to be consultative and to listen to what the customer is asking before that, in my opinion, this is my experience.
Yeah.
And it's something that our engineering team does well, right? Is listen to the actual problem versus pre-assuming the solution, right? It's easy to come in with technology and just say, like, here are the 400 things that you need to implement, and then you'll be protected, without listening to their actual problems. And we deal with customers of every size. So sometimes their problem is not as sophisticated as they would need. Sometimes they're not ready to spend a bunch of money to protect against the edge cases. So we spend a lot of time with that. I have personally talked to customers that are worried about exactly the problem that Sean brought up. And that, while it's a buzzword a little bit these days, the zero trust frameworks and zero trust approaches to stuff is how we operate. So it's how our engineers operate. We assume no trust for anything and build from
Right.
there. And that's a big way to combat that problem.
Well, and you used a word in that is really the hallmark, I think, of the Rackspace Elastic Engineering offering, whether it's for 365 or infrastructure or data or security now, and that is we listen. So my challenge to anyone is, regardless of the cloud platform you're using, is how do you call up that provider and ask these questions to a human in your language, and allow them to express that, and then wait for an answer thoughtfully. And that's the hallmark of Rackspace Elastic Engineering, and that is it's a small group of people dedicated to your organization. So you're not even calling a stranger; you're calling that core team that you work with on
Yeah.
a literally day by day basis.
Yeah, and it's a good point that I guess I should mention that too, is because we're Rackspace, like you mentioned, we are across multiple clouds. My focus is on Microsoft 365. That's my personal focus.
Yeah.
But our business spans everything, right? And we talk to customers all the time that are not using necessarily Microsoft Azure for their cloud environment, but they're using Microsoft 365 or Office products for their productivity environment, which
Yeah.
means they're using Azure AD, right? And I think that our ability to then take that and apply these things to any cloud, so any resource, and these are, again, tools that Microsoft provides, but configured properly, can protect your stuff against anything. That's a big advantage of working with a company that has views and expertise into all these different cloud platforms and even on-prem platforms, right? Rackspace grew up running Metal, so it's not like we don't know that either.
That's
We
right.
meet you sort of wherever you are, and listen to what you need. And our engineers are wonderful about being efficient and being thorough and getting you where you need to go, where we believe you need to go.
Yeah. So Teresa, when we think about the capabilities and the things that we offer in this service offering, whether it's identity and access management and helping make sure that's tuned appropriately, or device management, or proactive guidance and collaboration, one of my favorites, by the way. But the other thing is strategic transformation. Two questions. And the first is, tell me about strategic transformation and that aspect of how we help customers. But then also, as the senior product manager for this, how do we scale this globally? Because it is an offering available everywhere.
Yeah, so strategic transformation, it's really about taking your business to the next level, right? But thinking through what that means for our customers and specifically for their environment. Like Jason said, we do, on-premise and cloud. And so are we looking at hybrid options? Do we need, what do we need to consider? And then where do you need to be And then how do we get there? And so it's really about building that roadmap for that customer and making sure that they get what they need and taking a holistic view at all of their solutions, not just one.
Right. Now, how do we do this at scale at Rackspace? Even if you think about just North America, I mean, that's a lot of ground to cover.
It definitely is. And so, we have a great team that helps multiple customers and has a general understanding across, different industries, different regions. And so I think it really comes down to what our team can do and their knowledge and their experience across multiple customers.
Got it. Hey, thanks for
Yeah.
the compliments there from Amsterdam. Jason, you and I
Nice.
talked earlier about, one of the things you get to do in this product architecture role is look at the future and what's coming next. So maybe talk a little bit about how this evolves.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're my goal, right, is to be able to meet a customer where they need to be and be ready for that, right, and not just react to whatever is the current problem. So we do a lot of work with that. I do a lot of work with our engineers training. They're constantly being trained and up on those things. I think the future here really is around and get back to the modernizing the SOC conversation, right? That the modernized SOC is one that is built on principles of automation, ML and AI integrations, the ability to build in SOAR capabilities, so automated remediation for security events as well, and using all of those tools so that you don't have to have a massive group of people watching everything and responding. Rackspace has a long history of scaling through technology. That's what we do. Like I said, I was a dev team lead for a long time. That's what we did. We're not going to hire 400 people. We're going to make 4 people look like 400 people.
Yeah.
And so that's how we are able to help customers, both in sort of automation of configurations, best practices in Rackspace, ways of doing things, as well as helping those customers achieve the same benefits, right? So that they don't have to have a 30-person IT team to manage their stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of that.
Huge part of that. All right. So Jason and Teresa, thank you so much for being a part of this today. And I want to encourage you all to I'll bring that URL up again in a second. It should also be in the chat down below. I'd encourage you to go over to that site over at Rackspace. Learn more about Rackspace, Elastic Engineering for Microsoft 365. There are 2 offers hanging out over there. First is for that free ebook, exploiting and getting more out of Microsoft Office 365, as well as an offer for free, of course, to engage with one of our senior architects here at Rackspace to be able to learn more about the state of where you are and how you can get more out of those licenses that you're already paying for from Microsoft. So encourage you to head over there and check that out. Now, lastly, we use that example of the Microsoft denial of service attack that they thwarted earlier this week as really the lead into this. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to be unpacking that with security architect Jason Moran. So if you'd like to be a part of that discussion, it's going to happen at 8:30 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. And that's October 14th. So I'd love for you guys to check that out and be a part of it. Well, that's going to do it for us today here at Rackspace Live. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you want to learn more, head over to that tiny URL that's hanging out in the chat down below. There's free stuff waiting for you over there, including, if they're not already gone, the first 50 people, I believe they get $25 from Grubhub. So you can get some free food and learn about Rackspace offerings. So thank you guys so much. Teresa and Jason, always a pleasure. Thanks for being a part of this today. Everyone, have a great afternoon.